Listening 3, PBIS4222, Module 4, Re-describing Objects. Module 4. This module talks about re-describing objects. The topics we will learn of Module 4 are re-describing objects, re-describing events, and re-describing persons. Module 4, Unit 1, Re-describing Objects. Module 4, Unit 1, Activity 1, People's opinions about life skills they are supposed to get at school.
Well, I think for me at school, I did history and French and maths. And I wish I'd done woodwork because I'm incompetent in my house. I can't put up a shelf. I can't paint a wall. So it cost me a lot of money to have decorators in. Or my uncle who is a painter or decorator himself. So I really wish I'd done woodwork.
Well, one subject that I wish I'd learned at school is typing. Because, it's very important in everyday life. And I still only type with 2 fingers. And if I'd had the time, it would have been a really nice thing to have done. And I think it would have helped me in my life.
The one practical skill that I really wish that I'd been taught in school is note-taking. Because I find it extremely difficult to follow what people say to me in meetings and take notes at the same time. And because my memory is very short, I often forget those things. So that's definitely one skill that I wish I'd been taught at school.
I wish I'd learned economics at school so that I could understand what I was reading in the business section of the newspapers.
Cooking, like I went to an all-boys school and I wish I'd been taught a little bit about the fundamentals of cooking, cause I really enjoy it now. But I miss some of the little points I think to start off with.
Well, I wish I'd concentrated more on learning languages, really. I really didn't put my mind to those things, really. And now that'd be very useful.
It's probably about life, like day-to-day life, like bills, and how to organize yourself and how you run a home and things like that. I think that would have been great.
I think it's really important that people learn to do first aid. I would have loved to have done a first aid course because I think it's really important to know what to do in an emergency. You may never need it, but if you have the skill, it's always there.
Not really, actually. I went to an American high school where we were taught home economics, accounting, typing, car mechanics, taught to drive. It's really hard to think of anything. It was a very well-rounded. Lots of choices available.
Module 4, Unit 1, Activity 2 and 3. Listen to the interview.
In what practical ways do you try to prepare your pupils for life in the adult world after they've left school, for being a member of the community, as it were?
There are a number of ways in which we try to teach citizenship within our school. First of all, through our assemblies, we have daily assemblies in school. And through those, we get across issues to do with the organization of management and the living together. Because citizenship is all about, fundamentally, it's about people living together. It's about people organizing their group in a way that allows people to flourish and no one individual to have an undue influence on what is actually going on.
And how do you actually teach pupils to organize their group? What practical experience do they get in this respect?
We have representatives from each class on a school council. The school council is able to make observations about the management, the organizations of the school. They are able to suggest things that need to improve in the school, that need to change. Essentially, we try to give them a say within the organization of the school. One of the other skills that we teach is to do with or being able to work with other people. Teamwork. Yeah, so the ability to be a member of a group, to listen within that group, and also to develop a degree of empathy and tolerance of other viewpoints and perspectives within that group. And they need to channel one's energies into the common good rather than simply pursuing one's own interests.
So, do you have actual lessons called teamwork?
It's not a timetabled subject as such, but what it is, it's an approach that we try to weave in the normal teaching that we do in the school. Having said that, if we are now talking about an area like drama, in drama there are overt attempts to work as a team, to develop these team skills that I've just touched on. So in that part of the curriculum, you'd find it. If you are also to go to physical education, again, in physical education, you will find the teachers trying to develop good interpersonal skills within groups and to develop the team as an entity that's greater than the individual in order to actually win a game in a inter-team sport, for example.
Why do you consider teamwork to be such a vital skill?
We are very interested in equipping young people to play their role in adult life, and that part of that is in a workplace. And it is rare that anyone in a workplace work by themselves. They are always a member of a smaller or larger team, and that requires some skills to be an effective and productive member of that team. So the kind of skills that we're teaching in schools have application not only inside the standard structured education system, but have direct application inside in a work environment outside, and indeed in the social context outside. And increasingly living in a highly competitive technological age, I think it's going to call for more and more people working together, sharing. So I think the need for the kind of skills that we've been talking about will actually grow in the future.
And as well as these practical skills, do you try to deal with wider social issues at all?
I think it's important to deal in schools with those big issues that society is facing at this particular time. Drugs and alcohol will be a case. Early pregnancy would be something. The intolerance that exists in certain sections of our society to do with homophobia, racism, sexism. These are issues which we in school try to deal with within our overall or active citizenship program within the school. To that end, we do bring in from outside the organizations and individuals who have expertise in this area to actually share with our youngsters. And having outside facilitators who are not teachers often is a very effective way of grabbing the attentions of the young people, or because they're seeing somebody who may have been involved in crime, and being able to articulate why they were involved, what they got out of it, and why they stopped it. So engaging with the wider community in school is something that's increasingly important.
So I think you have a great idea on preparing your pupils to be ready to see the real world by themselves. Well, thank you for such an interesting explanation.
Module 4, Unit 1, Activities 4, 5, and 6. Higher Education in the United States.
In the United States, a student who has finished high school may want to continue in higher education. There are several ways to continue in higher education in the United States. There are universities, colleges, community colleges, and technical or vocational schools. A university is much larger than a college. It is larger for two reasons. The first, a university in the United States usually has several different colleges in it. Second, the university always has programs for graduate study in a variety of subjects. There may be a medical schools, law schools, or other advanced programs. A university program for undergraduates usually takes 4 years. In this way, a university and a college are alike. College students usually spend 4 years in school also. A college, however, usually has only one specialized program. A college does not have graduate or professional programs in a variety of areas. A college is also like a university in the kinds of the students it has. College students, like university students, usually have a high school diploma when they enter college. If a college student completes a course of study in the arts, he or she receives a Bachelor of Arts degree. In the sciences, the students receive a Bachelor of Science degree. If college students want to continue for a graduate or professional degree, they must go to a university. Compared to universities and colleges, community colleges in the United States are quite different. The program of study in the community college usually lasts only 2 years. Many different subjects are taught in the community college. For example, dental technology, auto mechanics, sewing, and many other subjects. The technical or vocational school, however, has only job training. Some of its programs take 6 months, while other programs may take 2 years or more to complete. Many people go to a technical or vocational school instead of going to a high school. When they complete their training, they may be able to get a job right away. The technical or vocational school provides training for work in areas such as electronics, carpentry, plumbing, and others.
Do the formative test. Module 4, Formative Test 1. Open Education.
This passage looks at open education in 2 parts. The first part has to do with how the teacher feels about the student. The second part has to do with what the teacher does in the classroom. Each part of the definition can be explained by comparing open education with traditional education. In traditional education, the teacher may feel that the students are not very grown up. Usually, teachers are older than students, and teachers feel that students are young and do not know very much about the world. The teachers feel that they must tell the students what to do most of the time, and that they must make the students study specific things. In open education, the teachers' feelings are very different. These teachers feel that the students are individuals first, and students second. They expect the students to be responsible for the things that they do, just as adults are. A student's ideas and feelings are just as important as the teachers'. the teacher allows the students to decide what they want to do and does not make them study specific subjects or things. The teacher lets them decide what to study and how much to study. It is very important for the teacher to show how he or she feels about the students. The second part of the idea of open education has to do with what the teacher does in the classroom. In the traditional classroom, the students are told what to do. There is a list of things that the students must do to finish the class. There are rules made by the teacher that the students must follow, even if the student sees no reason for the rules. In open education, the teacher allows the students to choose what to do. They may study or talk or do nothing at all if they want to. There are no specific things for the students to do. There are no traditional rules made by the teacher. The only rules in an open classroom are rules for everyone's safety. The students are allowed to discover subjects in the open classroom instead of being made to study them.
Module 4, Unit 2, Redescribing Events. Module 4, Unit 2, Activities 1, 2, and 3. The Olympics.
The Olympic Games are an international sports competition. In the Olympics, athletes play in many different types of games. The first Olympic Games were held in Greece in ancient times. They probably began in the 6th century BC. The contests were held every 4 years in the summer. The first games lasted for only 1 day. There was only one contest. It was a short race. Only Greek men were allowed to run in the race. No women were allowed, and no non-Greeks were allowed to run in the race. Women were not allowed to watch the race either, or to be anywhere near the racing area. Other events were added later. One event added later was swimming. But the ancient games were stopped in the 4th century AD when Greece was ruled by Rome. The Olympics were started again in the 19th century after Baron Pierre de Coubertin, a Frenchman, suggested that it would be good to have the games again, but not just for Greek people. De Coubertin organized a meeting in 1894. Representatives from 9 countries went to the meeting in Paris. They agreed to start the Olympic Games again in Athens, Greece, in 1896. The Olympic Games have been held every 4 years since 1896. 3 times the Games were not held because of World War. There were no Games in 1916, 1940, and 1944. The first competition in modern times was held in Athens, but not all of the Games have been held there. The Olympic Games are held in many different cities around the world. The last Olympic Games were held in Atlanta, USA in 1996. Baron de Coubertin also started to run the Olympics. This committee is called the International Olympic Committee. It has offices in Lausanne, Switzerland. The committee has made many decisions that affect the modern Olympics. In 1912, the committee decided to allow women to compete. In Olympic Games, there are individual contests where each athlete plays alone. To win this contest, one athlete must be better, faster, or stronger than other athletes. Some examples of individual games are swimming, running, and walking races. For an amateur athlete, winning in the Olympics is a great achievement as the games are not easy to win. An athlete who wins the Olympics is the best in the world.
Module 4, Unit 2, Activities 4, 5, and 6. The Nobel Prize.
A Nobel Prize is one of the most highly regarded international honors a person can receive. These prizes were named for Alfred Nobel, a Swedish chemist and inventor. The first Nobel Prizes were awarded in 1901, 5 years after Nobel's death. How did the prizes start? Alfred Nobel was a chemist. He invented dynamite and developed detonators for dynamite and for other explosives. As a result of these two inventions, he became a very wealthy man. He used part of his money to invest in oil. He made good investments and became even more wealthy. However, in spite of his great wealth, Nobel was not a happy man. He never married or had children. Also, he was a sick man a large part of his life. Nobel died at the age of 63 in 1896. He left all his money in a trust fund. This money is held by a group of people who run the Nobel Foundation. The Nobel Foundation holds Nobel's money and gives the prizes. The prizes are awarded by the Nobel Foundation for outstanding achievements or contributions in 5 areas. A prize is given in chemistry, physics, medicine or physiology, literature, and peace. The process of nominating and choosing Nobel Prize winners has 2 parts. First, nominations of people who might deserve a Nobel Prize are made. Many nominations are made in each area. The second part of the process of choosing Nobel Prize winners is to decide which of the nominees deserves the award in each area. This decision is made by the Nobel Foundation in Stockholm. The foundation may decide to give the awards to an individual or to several people in each area. Or the foundation may decide not to give a prize at all in any area. In the 20th century, a Nobel Prize has been awarded to many people from countries all over the world. The winners of Nobel Prizes are rewarded both by prestige and by money for their contributions to human life.
Do the formative test. Module 4, Formative Test 2. The roles of male and female.
The lives of men and women usually had one form. That is, men and women usually married. The man usually worked. He earned the money that the family needed. The women took care of the children, cooked, and cleaned. In recent years, the role of men and women has begun to change. Some research has been done to study the changes that have occurred. Let us look at some of the ways in which these roles are changing. In the traditional marriage, the man worked at a job to earn money for the family. Most men work in an office, a factory, or some other places away from the home. Since the man earned the money, he paid the bills. The money was used for food, clothes, a house, and other family needs. The man made most of the decisions. He was the boss. In the traditional marriage, the woman seldom worked away from the house. She stayed at home to care for the children and her husband. She cooked the meals, cleaned the house, washed the clothes, and did other household works. Her job at home was very important. In recent years, many couples continue to have a traditional relationships of this kind. The man has a job and earns the money for the family. The woman stays at home and cares for the children and the house. Many persons are happy with this kind of marriage, but some other people have a different impression of marriage and family responsibilities. In recent years, the man has not always been the spouse who worked. Many men now stay at home part of the time. They have to take care of the children and the house. Besides, more and more women have been working. They may earn money to help their husbands. The man is not the most important person in the house. He may share many important decisions with the woman. There are two important differences in male and female roles now. One is that both men and women have many more choices. They may choose to work or to stay at home. A second difference is that within marriage, many decisions and responsibilities are shared. For example, the husband and wife may choose to have children or they may not.
Module 4, Unit 3, Redescribing Persons. Module 4, Unit 3, Activities 1 and 2. Diego Columbus.
Diego Columbus is the one of Christopher Columbus, a Europe explorer who discovered the American continent. Here is a story from Diego Columbus about his father's first journey. My name is Diego Columbus, and I'm from Lisbon, Portugal. I'm 12 years old. I'm just visiting here in Spain. My uncles, Uncle Bartholomew and Uncle Diego, are here with me. We came here to tell my father goodbye. He left here yesterday, and he won't be back for a long, long time. My father is the captain of a ship, and the name of the ship is the Santa Maria. My father says that the earth is round, not flat. He believes he can travel west and get to Asia. A lot of people don't think he can do it, of course, but I do. Vincent and Martin Pinzon went with my father on the ship. They're the captains of the other two ships. Vincent's ship is the Nina, and Martin's ship is the Pinta. I couldn't go with my father because he said I was too young. My uncle Bartholomew said he's going to go on the next trip, if there is another trip. My uncle Diego says maybe he'll go next time too.
Module 4, Unit 3, Activities 3 and 4. Maria Anna Mozart.
Maria Anna Mozart is the daughter of Leopold Mozart, a great musician who is famous with his musical works. Here is a story from Maria Anna Mozart about the musical abilities that the family have. My name is Maria Anna Mozart, and I'm from Salzburg. My nickname is Nenner. I'm 14 years old, and I play the piano. My brother plays the harpsichord. He's only 9 years old. His name is Wolfgang. His full name is Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus, but everybody calls him Wolfgang Amadeus. People say that my brother and I are very unusual. My father told me that people call us child prodigies because of our musical abilities. My brother Wolfgang can write music. He wrote some violin sonatas here in Paris, and some people published the sonatas. We're going to leave for England in just a few days. My father said that we're going to give some concerts in England, and then we're going back home. I'll be glad to get back to Salzburg. My father will too. He's always very busy, so of course he needs to get back to Salzburg soon. He's the music composer for the royal court and is also the assistant conductors. His name is Leopold Mozart. He's very famous. He plays the violin and he writes music. He writes all kinds of music, operas, symphonies, sonatas, and church music.
Do the formative test. Module 4, Formative Test 3, Part 1. Open Education.
This passage looks at open education in two parts. The first part has to do with how the teacher feels about the student. The second part has to do with what the teacher does in the classroom. Each part of the definition can be explained by comparing open education with traditional education. In traditional education, the teacher may feel that the students are not very grown up. Usually, teachers are older than students, and teachers feel that students are young and do not know very much about the world. The teachers feel that they must tell the students what to do most of the time, and that they must make the students study specific things. In open education, the teachers' feelings are very different. These teachers feel that the students are individuals first and students second. They expect the students to be responsible for the things that they do, just as adults are. A student's ideas and feelings are just as important as the teacher's. The teacher allows the students to decide what they want to do, and does not make them study specific subjects or things. The teacher lets them decide what to study and how much to study. It is very important for the teacher to show how he or she feels about the students. The second part of the idea of open education has to do with what the teacher does in the classroom. In the traditional classroom, the students are told what to do. There is a list of things that the students must do to finish the class. There are rules made by the teacher that the students must follow, even if the students sees no reason for the rules. In open education, the teacher allows the students to choose what to do. They may study, or talk, or do nothing at all if they want to. There are no specific things for the students to do. There are no traditional rules made by the teacher. The only rules in an open classroom are rules for everyone's safety. The students are allowed to discover subjects in the open classroom instead of being made to study them.
Module 4, Formative Test 3, Part 2. The roles of male and female.
The lives of men and women usually had one form. That is, men and women usually married. The man usually worked. He earned the money that the family needed. The woman took care of the children, cooked, and cleaned. In recent years, the role of men and women has begun to change. Some research has been done to study the changes that have occurred. Let us look at some of the ways in which these roles are changing. In the traditional marriage, the man worked at a job to earn money for the family. Most men worked in an office, a factory, or some other places away from the home. Since the man earned the money, he paid the bills. The money was used for food, clothes, a house, and other family needs. The man made most of the decisions. He was the boss. In the traditional marriage, the woman seldom worked away from the house. She stayed at home to care for the children and her husband. She cooked the meals, cleaned the house, washed the clothes, and did other household work. Her job at home was very important. In recent years, many couples continue to have a traditional relationship of this kind. The man has a job and earns the money for the family. The woman stays at home and cares for the children and the house. Many persons are happy with this kind of marriage, but some other people have a different impression of marriage and family responsibilities. In recent years, the man has not always been the spouse who worked. Many men now stay at home part of the time. They help to take care of the children and the house. Besides, more and more women have been working. They may earn money to help their husbands. The man is not the most important person in the house. He may share many important decisions with the woman. There are two important differences in male and female roles now. One is that both men and women have many more choices. They may choose to work or to stay at home. A second difference is that within marriage, many decisions and responsibilities are shared. For example, the husband and wife may choose to have children or they may not.
This is the end of audio Module 4, Listening 3 PBIS4222.